Hey y'all, so we are halfway through May and I don't have anything else that's gone better since my April wrap up. I am still slowly making my way through Malice. I am 440 pages, so I'm well on my way. I'm just about to the 3/4 mark of this book, and I hate that it is taking me so long to get through it. I want to just devour it. I think I've said this so many times, but there's something about this book that I absolutely love. I love the writing, and my real life has a lot of things going on. I've got a lot of changes. I said my husband, he's changed his shifts, and that includes going to the night shift. So there's just a lot of things going on. And so I feel like every time I sit down to read, something else comes up, someone interrupts me. So that's just the way it is. I feel like that's everyone's life at this point. So I'm trying not to get too down about it. We're just gonna pick it up and keep going. I'll eventually get through it. I feel like I could really get through a lot of it today, actually, after I get done filming. So that is a big goal of mine, is I want to finish it. I will finish it in May and ideally get through another book. That's the ultimate goal, is finishing this. I feel like every time I've talked about it, I say I'm gonna finish it next week, and then it just doesn't happen. So I'll say it one more time. I want to finish this next week. And let's hope it actually comes true this time, because at this point it's a wish. I wish I could finish this next week, and I hope someone fulfills it for me. So I did finish on audio my Dark Vanessa, because I can listen to an audio while I'm cooking or cleaning or doing some other things. So I have had some luck on the audio department, and I finished my Dark Vanessa. That was a really good one. I'm going to be filming a review on it today, so that'll be coming to the channel soon. It's a good one. It's definitely one of those books where if those types of situations trigger you, you may not want to read it. That's just, just take care of yourself as always, but it was a really good and enlightening book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I also started on audio, I started The Other Misses with my daughter, because her and I always have an audiobook going. And what book did we finish together last? I think it was Gone Girl. We finished Gone Girl, and so we started The Other Misses. So we've got that going for us this month. And then once I finished, because I was reading my Dark Vanessa by myself, and once I finished that, I started The Blood of Elves again. I know I've technically already read it, but I feel like I just didn't really, I don't feel like I was paying enough attention to it whenever I first started listening to it. So I am rereading it. I feel like I remember a lot more than I thought I did, but I know once I got into the time of contempt, I don't remember anything from that part. So I'm trying to reread from The Blood of Elves on. And so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm in chapter 2 on that audiobook. So yeah, that's our goals, is to finish The Blood of Elves on audio and Malice. I'm not even going to talk about what book I'm going to pick up after this one, because I just want to get through this book before I even think about another book. This is the one that I want to finish. It has gotten so good. So many things are happening. This is what I want. So this wrap up this month may be super fast, because I feel like I'm just repeating myself and talking in circles. We'll just go ahead and cut this half off right here, and then I'll see you in the next clip. Very end of it, and I have much better news than I did the first time around or for the month of April. I did finish Malice. I will have a review up for it really soon, and I absolutely loved it. I'm excited to start for the second one. It just may be a few books down the road before I get to Valor, but it was good, and I'm excited to finish the rest of the series. Meaning John Gwynne, did an excellent job, and I am super excited that I finally finished it. It was definitely worth pushing through, and it was definitely worth the read. And if any of the last 3 books are close to being as good as this one, then I'm sure it is going to be absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to finish John Gwynne's Faithful and the Fallen series. Love it. The next book that I started after Malice was the book Wrecked by Charlotte Roche. I DNF'd it. I got about 100 pages in, and I just didn't really like the main character. She was very annoying and hard to like. And my daughter and I have talked about this. You don't always have to relate or like the main character for the story to still be good and make sense and say something, mean something. But this was one of those books where the main character was just absolutely annoying, to where if I met her in real life, I would never ever want to talk to her again. And then we started talking about how she wipes herself after she goes to the bathroom. And I don't care about that at all. So this was the last book in my first set of 10 that I had, and I'll put the card up for you, but for the original, but it was not for me. I didn't like it. I just didn't care about that. Like, the first 10 pages were a pretty graphic sex scene of her and her husband, which wasn't terrible. It's just, it was an interesting way to start a novel, and then getting inside her head and all her different quirks and eccentricities. She's just not, I don't know. I didn't like it at all, especially when we started talking about her wiping. That was too much for me. I just don't care about that level of intimacy. So if you've read this book and you liked it, absolutely let me know, because maybe I'm just missing something. And honestly, I could be missing something in the translation, because this was actually translated from German. So it could be part of the translation. I don't really know. It definitely wasn't the book for me, and I went right back into fantasy, because I've been on a fantasy kick, and this was, like I said, the last book on my list that I had that I wanted to finish. Like I said, it wasn't fantasy, but I wanted to finish. So I did read a book that I actually didn't plan on reading. It wasn't on any of my sets, but my daughter begged me to read it, and it was super fast and quick. So I went ahead and just read it, kind of squeezed it into my schedule, and that is Bull by David Elliott. It is a story about the myth of the Minotaur, and it's a poetry book, but it is one cohesive story. It's very small. And like I said, everything is just a poem. So you've got different characters like Poseidon as one of them, the Minotaur himself. So each character has, I think there's 4, each character has their own poetic style, which I really enjoyed. The use of the page itself, the writing, the font, the spacing, it was very well done. And it was actually really good. Like I said, I only read it because she begged me to, and it was so short. I want to say 175 pages, but I literally read this in maybe 2 hours, if that. It was so fast, and it was actually very clever. I did like it. It was pretty humorous as well at times. So if you've got a couple of hours that you want to just squeeze in an extra book, I would recommend it. It was good. So this next book is one that is in my set 2, so I went ahead and read it. I had a friend that recommended it to me. I'm not a huge Neil Gaiman fan, but I did want to read Stardust, and it was really good. I liked the humor. It's very lighthearted. It's pretty short, so you don't get a lot of depth, but you do get depth in things that he is implying. So he doesn't just feed it to you. You have to infer from what he's saying what he really means. And I liked that. It was definitely different, very whimsical, very quick. I read it in a week. Expected it to take 2 because of something else that I'm reading at the same time as this. I was reading both, so I kind of expected this to take me a couple weeks, but it was so fast that I ended up just kind of crashing through it. It's pretty spaced out as well, so I was just reading like 20-30 pages a day, and then after a while I realized I'm reading very fast. These pages are going by fast, so I could just crank out 50 to 60 pages at a time, which was a lot more than I initially anticipated. So I just finished it in a week, and it was a good little read. I liked it. It was a good story. I would suggest it, especially if you're not sure if you like Neil Gaiman. I've tried to read a couple of his books, like American Gods, Good Omens, The Standards, but I just DNF'd them. I don't know if it was really just at the wrong time. I did try to listen to those 2 books, so I think that was part of it, but you know, still good. One of the big things that I started in May that I absolutely did not anticipate. I expected to start this next year, and that is the project of Eye of the World. I broke down. I started it. So So be on the lookout for some Wheel of Time videos coming to the channel here in the next few days. I'm really excited about that project, and I want to start talking about Wheel of Time because I know I'm going to need some support. It's very good so far. I love the experience of having so many people to talk about it with, bounce ideas off of from other newbies like myself, as well as just kind of saying, hey, this is what I think might happen to readers that have already read it, and then just kind of reading their response of, you'll find out, you know, and you can just tell that those people enjoy talking about it just as much as I do, because they like seeing the experience of new readers, and I really love that. It's such a great community, and this type of experience, reading a book or a series eventually, is very different for me, and it's much more involved and in depth than just a simple book club, and I love it. I think it's going to make this experience so much better for me, and I'm ready to finish it. I want to cross that finish line of having read all of these books, and I want to thoroughly enjoy it. I don't want it to be a chore or something that people say, you know, it just takes forever to get through and they're not sure if it's worth it. I want it to be worth it, and so far it is. I'm about a quarter of the way through. We are reading the Wheel of Time at about a book a month, which is good for me. That's a good speed. I don't want to try to speed through it any faster, and that also gives me a chance to read something else alongside Eye of the World, or whatever Wheel of Time book we're on at the time. And so right now, alongside Eye of the World, I have started today, actually, the Rhaeria Revelations, which this is the first 2 books in the series, and it's Theft of Swords. So I've only read about 25 pages of it, and that first exchange was hilarious, and it's very lighthearted, and I think that this humor, as long as it carries through the rest of the book like that, I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be a breath of fresh air. I've been reading a lot of heavy, hard-hitting fantasy novels lately, and I feel like the humor and wit in this series is going to kind of lift my spirits a little bit. And it's exciting to read something that's going to have some humor. So all in all, I feel like I finished May much stronger than I started May, and definitely stronger than I finished April. So I am just glad that I'm back on track. I'm back to enjoying and having time to read like I initially wanted, and that's all I wanted from this month. So successful May for me, and I hope May went just as well or better for you guys, and y'all take care.